Welcome. This is Jim Mazurek at the Evanston Public Library for the June 3rd, 2023 Chicago TI Users Group meeting. Today we have Victor, who will be doing our presentations, myself, and was it John Gren?
Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully I got your name right. And of course, Hal is late today. He will be joining us a little later, and I'm sure he will have some words for us. But I guess until then, let's go ahead, Vic, and start the meeting.
Okay, I have a few things today to go through on adventures over the past month. And as you may know, the Chicago User Group has just distributed DVDs and USB drives at each fair to people who attend, loaded with tons of software. And one of the libraries on there is from the late Barry Harmson, who gave them to me in 2017, smiling, saying this 12 gig thumb drive has all the software and all the literature in Europe as of that time. So we're going to switch over to a laptop here running Windows. And this program that you see running is Fred Call's excellent TIDIR program that runs on Windows or Linux or Mac, and it lets you really dig into TI files and lets you put these .dsk disk files on a compact flash card. So this little window here, I'll move this around. As you can see, we go down here and we get to the 2018 Fair Plus. So if we open that, you got a README, you got a TIUG, you got bin files, you got bonus, how to set up a compact flash. Now you're getting down a little bit here. We have from Barry Traver, from Barry Harmson, from Chris Bobbitt, Constantinius, from Victor. I put some. But let's look at from Barry Harmson. And this was like a big file. There were thousands of files that Barry had when he gave me that thumb drive in the root level of the drive. So it took me darn near a year to straighten everything out. Let's go to all numbered here. Files begin with 0, files begin with 1, files begin with 2. I think you get the point there. And then we have indexed, and then we have the named disks, like starting out here in named. I'm getting off track. What I really wanted to get to was to show you it's worth going through these folders. If you go to indexed, here's a whole bunch of more disks. And what is, I found here going through it, you got Wally Maluli's TI game shelf, you got the game base, you got Fred Call stuff, you have Rasmus Mustgard stuff. Was going through this one called Mark Omigzet. So we'll click on that and highlight it and do OK. And I just wanted to go through some of this stuff and show you all the things that are on here. It's a big collection. Oh, okay. I have the right files already. There we go. So, starting in alphabetical order, it's exclamation point, mass ANSI. This is stuff if you want to run your own bulletin board and use mass transfer. But I started exploring through here, and when I got down to 99 February B, you can click on that, and it gives you the source, 99 February 9B. Disk is the source of this screen, and then you have Chicago, digit file, and TI-99 label. If you double click on that again, or you go up to files and the view file, was that F3? I'll do that next time. Okay. So this is by former club president, Mike Maximek. He's a heavy dude. He did MIDI master. He was heavy into 80 columns, promoting the Geneve enhancement of the TI computer. And so here's should be nice if they had word wrap on this. I wonder if we can get that. Oh, I know what it is. I got this zoomed in quite a bit, so I can actually read this on this monitor here. Some of you may have followed TI's developments in the time that the 99.4A was in its childhood. All sorts of things for the home computer that was ahead of its time. There were several peripherals developed by TI that were only released in tiny quantities, mostly to the TI employees that got the pick of the crop. Some of these never made it to the production lines, but only a few prototypes survived. Okay, so we have this editorial by Mike Maximek on that disk. Let's go back to TI-99 DIR. Hopefully this will bring us back to where we were before. Yeah, if your disk drive looks like that in the picture, that's the original ShoeGuard single-side, single-density drive.
That's it.
Yeah, it's not publicity photo. Okay. And then we had going to 99 November 88. 1999 November 88. And Bright Eyes. That sounds a little strange. So I was curious and I looked at that. And this is actually a music program from the then current movie Watership Down. I don't know if you remember that British animation about all the adventures the animals had. And it was quite hot for a week or two. And so here's this music that, as far as I know, has not been played since 1988. Okay, I have to go up a folder. So laptop needs a today button. And then we have 99 SC89B. What you don't see is how many weeks it took me poking through this one folder in one subsection of Barry Harmson's library from Europe that he gave me. It's been disseminated for the past 5 years. So in this one, it has an interesting looking folder called PICS Info. And for those of you who might not know it, PICS is an image storage format that the author wanted to make as a universal image storage for the TI, because it was slightly compressed, a little smaller, and the PICS Pro program could take anybody's graphic and convert it into PICS format. And the idea was you could store that on your floppies or on a hard drive, even if you had one. Running, you could pick out the picture you wanted, use PICS Pro to convert that into any format you wanted. So the concept of desktop publishing was hot, and people had several different types of picture formats, from TI Artist to RLE, Run Length Encoded, GraphX, Picasso, and then other desktop publishing programs like Page Pro and the Printer's Apprentice. They wanted, and it was a royal pain trying to set everything up. So PICS Pro here, and here's a file that describes it, how to use it. And it pretty much says what I've just told you. So we're going to go back. Like I said, we got a lot of ground to cover, so I'm trying to. Trying to go up a file back into the. Well, we got the hourglass. Ah, there we are. So the next one I would want was called base demo. Right here. And wondered what this was. So by clicking on that, function 3, and this is a basic graphics program. Again, when was the last time this one was run? And you can see here, going through the screen, call screen 1, called key color 16, call graphics mode, call init, call load disk 1 title 0, title ex1-0, ds1-ex2 0, and sets up a graphics program. So that looked intriguing.
Carrie was commenting that the characters get blurred on the screen. Yeah, the problem is that unless he increases his font size larger, that's going to be a problem with compressed video.
Basic 2. Okay, here's one on from Barry Harmson.
Not to mention
Index.
if the screen changes, the camera likes to readjust its autofocus and it doesn't always get it right.
Here's basic 2. And I'm a little disappointed because I thought this, I think it's because we're running okay, this is all I wanted to see, is what kind of file it was. If there was a README file on here. Usually a README starts with an asterisk or something. This is a plotting program in BASIC.
Security said it's better on this screen, so maybe the blue screen is better. Is the blue screen better or the white screen better?
Well, on the TI for the longest time, a white font on a dark blue background was the most legible. So it's like most of your disk managers and funnel web and word processors.
Right, but we're talking relative to a camera that is sampling and compressing,
Mm-hmm.
that it's not always kind to certain
Okay.
color contrast in fonts.
Yeah. So this
Anything
is
about
basically
edge?
plotting how to draw a line. And it's got assembly routines that would have to be loaded, but call link line x1, y1, your start point, going and ending at x2, y2, first line coordinate, second line. And so then format, call link draw to, and it actually draws the line. So this is a plotting program in BASIC. Let's go up. This one looked intriguing. Yeah, I'm probably skipping over those that you're going, wait, what's that one? I want to see, that one you just skipped over.
Come to the meeting and then you can drive the computer all you
Yeah.
like.
So here's battling B, which is battling bytes. So this doesn't seem to be that big of a program. And I was wondering if this was a cousin to Core Wars or something. So it doesn't seem to be that big of a program. Now, TIDIR is just a disk cataloging and management program. It's not a complete emulator where you can run these on a PC, but it's invaluable for finding out what you want and actually putting it on a compact flash card. So you could use it on a compact flash adapter or a nano PEB. Going down, we have Beatles. This is Beatles music. So what did we have? Okay. In this one, the load program, because I cheated and I read it and I looked at all the rest of these. Load loads link 01, which is a song, and then when link 01 is done playing, it'll load link 02. So it just goes through the whole sequence of songs here. And let's see what it is. Line 7, goodbye, I say hello, hello. I don't know why you say, okay. So it's easy to see what this one is.
Vic, are you able to increase me to move the camera in, but it's going to clip more stuff off of it, and I don't think it's going to actually really improve
Well,
things.
you're just going to see part of the window that's on here. I know in our actual recordings, to answer your question, no. This is 800 by 600, the maximum font size.
No, but sometimes in Windows environments, if you hit Control Shift Plus, it will fall through and increase the size for applications that are aware of the zoom hotkeys, even if they don't give you a zoom option in the menu.
No, it
No.
doesn't. Yeah, I know what you mean, to make the window bigger. This is maximum resolution. You can do
Then I
this.
think we may need to move on to something else if we can. I mean, I can move the camera in, but I don't think it's going to really improve the situation too much. And then we have cables and other logistical problems.
Well, at least it's solid.
Because ultimately, most compression is not very text-friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to complain to somebody, don't complain to us, complain to Google, and they will promptly ignore your complaints.
Okay. Right. So, moving along.
It is at an angle because, once again, perfection is not an option.
Do you have a glare problem? You can rotate this monitor if you're getting a reflection. and
Well,
you
it's
wanna
not so,
move it.
it's like okay. If you have a problem, come to the meeting and fix it yourself.
Yeah, you'll be able to see it real good. All right, here's an interesting one. Old timers will remember this. Bit remover is, you got the program and you got the README file. So to make a long story short here, the MyArc HFDC, hard and floppy disk controller card, if you initialized a disk with it, it would set 1 bit wrong. And this would cause problems with people who are using a regular TI or even Core-Com disk controllers. And so what this did is this is a program
Why not
dedicated
ABC?
to removing that one bad bit. And I'm sure some folks were tearing their hair out, so they wound up with a mohawk like Mr. T wore. Actually, I misspoke. He never wore a mohawk. He said that's called a mandingo. So I should get my terminology right. But, this one, it details how this program will study a disk, and then it will remove that one bad byte. So there, anybody who's got these files, plus in the Chicago TI user group and other TI related Facebook pages, I've uploaded Dropbox links to the Barry Harmson library, but because of size constraints, I had to chop them up into like part 1, part 2, part 3, because they were just too big to post it as one lump. So it's worth going through TI 99ers and the Chicago TI user group Facebook page. And anybody who's attended a fair in the past 5 years has gotten a thumb drive with all these files on it. So anyway, going through it, we've got different music discs on this cat. What's this one called? Cat Pro. CAT. Catalog programming pack. This is an extended basic program called Cart Pro, I misspoke, which is designed to help keep track of your various cartridges. So if you've ever thought you're going to have to write a program to do that, well, somebody's already done it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. And all I did was just start going through these files, and I just clicked on stuff that looked interesting. So that's the CART program. I know we're not actually running these. I'm just showing you what's there.
Or at least attempting to.
Yeah, there's a one called Catch Chat that catalogs programs on your disks. Then there's one CH. Let me get down here. Chuck Berry music. Okay, so if you're a Chuck Berry program, that's there. Yeah, these really aren't organized into subject or whatever. There's another one called Sin 2, which is a article by Jim Peterson of Tiger Cub fame. There's another Clean LG. It cleans DV80 files so they print. I don't know if you've ever tried to print out a DV80 file and had your printer go nuts and you couldn't figure out what the heck was wrong. It's because there's a control character hiding there somewhere and you cannot see it with your eyes because it doesn't display on your screen. And I've had a couple files that were like there, that printer would just go into form feed and print 3 letters and just went bizarre. And so something like this would have been invaluable for me at that time. There's a calendar program, there's a music program that plays the fun song Classical Gas. There's a console, CNSL MDF, that's an internal modification to your console that keeps it from starting for 1 second after you apply power to it. This is for the people who always leave their TI on all the time with the monitor, the hard drive, and everything else, and they flip everything on and off at the switch strip. Well, I haven't had this problem, but I guess some people have had a problem where you want to turn on the console last, is the general rule of operation with the TI. There's a program called Column Text that lets you print out your text in 2, 3, or 4 columns. Comic Show by our old buddy Ken Gilliland has, I'm sure you've seen his Disc of Dinosaurs, Disc of the Old West, stuff like that, where he would have a animated cartoons. And so that's that, using this this laptop. Well, actually, not, I misspoke. But we're going to step up out of this file. Yeah, this is the highest resolution we can go on this. However, the next programs are going to be in TI format with the 28 characters for a screen, and they'll be much more user-friendly. I have to read another. We're going to select another directory. Okay, this is one screen I wish I could make bigger, but TIDIR defaults to this size. So I have to squint reading this. So here we were on From Barry Harmson indexed. And so let's go up a bit. So From Barry Harmson indexed, if I right click, wrong program. Let's go to the general Windows File Manager here. Oh. We're going to go to the thumb drive that has all this stuff on it. 2018 Fair Plus. Barry Harmson. So let's take a peek at this disk that, or this thumb drive that Barry gave me back in 2017. Down to properties. Okay, it's 5.89 gig, and it's 27,253 files in 217 folders. That'll keep you busy for a while. So all the numbered discs so the properties on this. So all the disks that start with a number. Oh, it's only 806 megabytes and 2,887 files in that folder. Here's indexed. Is 2.66 gig, but 12,631 folders. And all the named disks. So I think this is TIGG is all the docs. Yeah, TIUG is the Dutch user group newsletter. So you have a whole bunch of stuff there. Go to named. We're going to go down to P. We're going to go to Plato. The Plato educational software library has been on the TI websites, or actually Facebook pages, and the Plato discs are known for being unreadable. Because Plato discs are set up, the table of contents, instead of being in sector 3, they're at sector decimal 359. Okay.
Kerry is asking, could AI sort those shoot 'em up games into puzzle? I guess he wants to know if we can use AI to categorize things. Like, is that really necessary?
Well, yeah, I do depend on my memory a lot. Like I'll see stuff and I'll go like Berlin, oh yeah, that's Berlin Wall. We demoed that a couple of years ago where you gotta run through the no man's land from East Berlin to West Berlin. Okay, back in TI world. Okay, so we have, this is my personal utilities disk I try to keep loaded up. Got Archiver, in case if I find an archive file. Boot, which is great for cataloging disks and reading DV80 files. BXB is, if you've got a basic program that uses character sets 15 and 16 for colorful graphics, it'll crash an extended basic, because extended basic uses that location in memory for sprites. So BXB cheats and it rewrites those character sets as character sets. But you've wiped out the sprite table in extended basic. But that's okay, because you don't try to use character sets 15 and 16 and sprites. You can't use a sprite in basic. The catalog disk here, Compact Flash Manager, Disk Manager 2000, Disk U. Identifile is great to tell you what kind of program you've got. Meeting, that's the marquee that we have for the starting of the meeting. Manager is DM1000. Say what? Say what is a handy basic program if you have the terminal emulator cartridge. You load in the terminal, plug in the terminal emulator card, select basic from the startup menu, and load this program, and anything you type in, the TI will say it. Skyscape is the nice astronomy program to see what's in the sky at night. SNE manual, that's the Supernotes Express cartridge that Mike Lunsford made a couple years ago. Sound effects, that's that sound file player. Star Spangled Banner, that's what we run at the end of the show. Stars and Stripes Forever, and I had my own little catalog program here. But we're going to go to Compact Flash Manager. And this is actually the disk manager for the Compact Flash. So we want volume, utility, 1. So now we've cataloged volume 01 on this Compact Flash card. That's a 1 gig card that holds 1,200 floppies on it. So we can go back. I want 6. Okay, so the first 10, this is volumes 1 through 20 on my Compact Flash. This is, excuse me, the first 10 I have are all my utilities. And then I actually start to get into libraries. Okay, so 29 is Big Ben. Okay, so we'll go back into basic. Okay, so we took, what this command does is we've removed the floppy disk file out of virtual drive 1. And the second statement is virtual drive number 1, we're putting in volume 29. With this, go to RXB, period, D for directory, drive 1, Big Ben. This program doesn't seem like much. Press the space bar to run extended basic. So we just looked at this on the PC. There was something called Big Ben. Oh, what time we got?
We're at 2:32.
Pardon?
2:32.
2.
Soon to be 2:33.
Okay, so now we got a clock running in the upper part of the corner. Let's list this program. What you call loads. Ugh. Which one do I got in here, 5 or 6? Okay, so I want this number 42. Okay, we just looked at this disk, and it had November, oh, wrong disk. I am on drive 5, right? Okay. Go to volume utilities on the compact flash, list them. What was I looking for? 99 November 88. 99 November 88 is disc 22. Okay, I got it on the wrong. Oh, this is 5, not 6. Duh. 22. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so that's one. Remove that. Ah, there we are. So I told you, when was the last time that Bright Eyes was run? November of 88, when everybody got this disc from, no, I don't know if this has an ending. Sometimes these loop forever, and if you'll excuse me here. Okay, we'll break the program. Let's list it. Okay, is that font big enough now? That's white on medium blue. It's Bright Eyes, Watership Down by Mike Batt. Converted by R. Dunlop, and this was off the Connie disc. Okay. So just looking at the code, he seems to be defining a lot of note frequencies here. This is call sound statement. Okay, notice line 33. or line 26, call sound key S1, at the end it says exclamation point, bass plus 1 note. Yeah, you can't really do a bass note in TI, but you could do a noise sound, and you can modulate that with a frequency afterwards, and it actually gives you a bass note. I'm just trying to get to the end here to see if this actually has an end or if this loops around. It can be a little difficult. You can always type in the word trace before you run a program, and it, ruins the display, but it shows you what line number the program's running on. So if you just see it keeping looping around a particular sequence of lines, then you go, okay, that's something. Sub picture. Sub end. Okay. I really can't tell on that. All right, I'm going to shut this down for a moment because we're going to change memory cards in the Nano from the 2018 Chicago TI Fair to Plato. Now, we haven't done Plato for a couple of years. I think the last time we ran Plato was the February meeting on the second floor in the library, just before COVID, and we couldn't meet here for a couple of years. So we went through Plato. So, Brian Nicolek on May 20th in TI99ers Facebook page had a problem. Is he was trying to make physical copies of the Plato discs for a TI. And to compound it, he wanted to make them double density, because the Plato discs are single-sided, single density, and they have, like, as you can see here, they have one file on each disc. So you do part of a educational sequence, and it says put in next disc. So you're always flopping discs. And it turns out that on the Atari Age internet site, chat room, guy by the handle of Spark Drummer had already done that on putting like four to six Plato discs on one disc and having a menuing system. So what we're going to do here is I have to navigate this a little bit. Okay, we got a back pedal. So I've got one compact flash card pretty much dedicated to Plato. With me here. 211, huh? Set the console. double check here. PhD 5201-1. All right, and I've got a hen's tooth here. Can you show this? I can't see the back of the camera. Here's an actual Play-Doh cartridge. These are sort of unique, even though there's Play-Doh editor assembler files available. If you ever look, there's 6 files, because this critter's got 6 grams in it. And so the regular editor assembler can only run 5 files at the most, not 6, unless you get a super cart, which is an editor assembler with EA with 8K on it. So Play-Doh automatically loads a disk from it automatically found the disk in drive 1 that I just installed, that one you saw me load in there. It tells you the curriculum, it tells you the basic number ideas, and the program package number 0 to 9. Okay, so this is pretty much standard. Now you see this says the whole number 0 to 9, the whole numbers 0 to 9 drill, additional studies, and 4, select another diskette. So what we're going to do now is crash the computer. We're going to go to basic. What did I say, it was 707? Plug in the Play-Doh cartridge, press any key, Play-Doh starts up. Okay, so this looks pretty much the same. Look what number 4 is now. Instead of select another disk, since all these files are on this disk, SparkDrummer had re-edited the disk. Instead of saying select another disk, you can select another menu. So I'm going to press 4, and here's the next disk in Play-Doh, rather than having to take the one disk out and put it in. So he's managed to condense, oh God, I don't know how many original floppies were in Play-Doh. You know, from over 400 disks or whatever to about 150. And Brian Nicolak was just pleased as punch. So now you can go through all these disks. And the whole number drill, as you probably know in Play-Doh, you've got basic skills, grammar, grades 3 to 8, high school skills, language, 9 to 12, high school skills, math, 9 to 12, basic number ideas, math sentences, geometry, measurements, special topics, basic skills, reading 3 to 8, making new words, understanding new words, understanding what you read, thinking about what you read, judging what you read. High school skills in reading, practical, general, prose, poetry, drama. High school skills, science, grades 9 through 12. Physics, chemistry, earth science, biology. And then back into communications here. Spelling and punctuation, grammar, diction, and sentence structure. So, control data still runs Play-Doh. This is the brief table of contents.
Do they still run Play-Doh? I thought that was a volunteer run. There
Or
might be,
somebody, it's
there
still
might be-
out there.
there might be, in fact, right, Cyber One, which there are, I guess, CDC alums involved in that. Whether or not it's truly controlled data anymore.
Oh,
is
control,
another-
no, not controlled data, I shouldn't have said
Yeah.
that, but,
Right, there are definitely probably, I shouldn't say definitely probably, but there are, I believe, CDC alums on their
Yeah.
Plato.
okay, if somebody doesn't like what we're doing here, they can come here and show us how to do it the right way. That's the spirit.
Yeah, and then there's also Errata Online, which is run by a gentleman named Tom Cherry Holmes, who did a significant effort to re-implement the Plato term for classic computers. So you're more likely to have a better experience using that software and using Errata Online, whereas I guess the Cyber One is really intended more for essentially Plato alums and people who are curious about that system back in the day.
Yeah, and TI is still valid for education, even though what to us might seem to be a silly cartridge, early learning fun. You've got sizes, shapes, colors, different words, different identification and stuff. Yeah, kids sort of need an adult to help them navigate around the keyboard, but pretty much it works good. So this is disc one, the learning numbers, learn some basic ideas about numbers. Now, what is that little guy in the right corner?
That looks like a,
It's not a TI.
I was gonna say that looks like a floppy disk, but no, it's not. It's,
Not a smartphone, I'll tell you that much.
is that supposed to actually be one of the Plato terms with arms and legs?
I think it's a precursor to Clippy, is he helps you around the program.
But I'm just saying, the icon is kind of
Yeah.
computery, terminally.
Yeah. So here we
Hard to
go
say.
into basic concepts on numbers. Mary and Jane had some marbles. Okay, you can always say Mary Jane lost her marbles, but I think the guy who did this chapter had a bit of a attitude. This is how many, so it's visually oriented. Now, a lot of people went, how can you do physics and chemistry on a TI? Well, I think we went through that, and their depiction of a galaxy and a black hole in the physics and astronomy section was pretty good. So here you can visually see Mary's got 6 and Jane has 7. But they don't actually number them, at least not yet. Who has the most marbles? Now I match them up. So now it's a simple comparison test. Cal and Bob. Type O and watch what happens. I don't know who they plug this to. Oh. Take them out. Oh. So, which is true? Cal has as many as Bob, Cal has more than Bob, or Cal has less? Well, we can always take the wrong answer and see what the TI says. No, here's a hint, which is true. Nifty. Oh yeah, and they're rewarding you, giving you positive reinforcement. It was so nice about the TI on most of the cartridges in the educational series. No matter how many times you get it wrong, it doesn't berate you. It doesn't say, "Can't you learn anything?" It's like, the ultimate bad teacher, bad parent. No, it doesn't do that. It's got an infinite amount of patience. So, well, anyway, this is a poor demonstration of the double-sided, double-density discs. But that first thing I showed you where it said select the next disc, where this had a menu of what was up. So what do we want to get to next? Now this collection is missing like basic number facts, whole numbers, decimals, fractions, elementary mechanics and physics, and computer literacy. At least at the time that this collection was originally made, it didn't have that. Physics, elementary mechanic. Who's a big, the Mechanical Universe fan from UCLA in California?
Oh, I certainly watched that back
Yeah.
in the day.
Yeah, they got that cheerful professor, has a simple experiment set up. And he really seems to enjoy his work in teaching that class. But let's, now this has taken me so much time to get this all set up that I didn't have time to write my loose leaf notebook where everything is at. So we're gonna go back into RXB, select that, and the load program on drive 3, which is the compact flash manager. All these compact flash cards I have, they all have the same utilities set up, the first 10 files, 1 through 10. And number 3 is a disk drive that's not used very much in the TI world. And so I always stash the compact flash manager there. So let's go to volume utilities, let's go to list. Go down. Oh, and I had all these, yeah, I had this games collection on here, which is a lot of memorization. ADV save disk, adventure save disk, black hole, space ace, angler dangler, aperture, Arcturus, asteroid. Yeah, these are all games in alphabetical order, because that's how the computer likes to do stuff. Okay, so we have Plato Utilities 1 there on 203. There were some Plato utilities like a questionnaire form. Somewhere somebody's got, oh God. All right, like 241 here says PhD 5207-2. That would give me a fighting chance. Here, James, if you can show this in front of the, where I could look up a particular subject and go, what PhD number am I looking for? But while most of these have the PhD number there, like that goes 207-020304.
So these are the reference numbers and names
Yeah.
for the courseware.
So it goes to lesson disk. In the Plato world, most of the lesson disks, that's their name, is lesson disk. Yeah, so for me to find something in particular. Let's see now, the Plato double-side double density doesn't start until 700. So this is all the single-sided, single density disks.
That's a lot of discs to be flipping around.
Yeah, well, that's why I had to write it down.
Sure.
Yeah. Free, 1200, use 360. So we'll get up there, you'll see those numbers jump around a bit. Okay, volume 699, volume 700. I just leave 1 or 2 blank initialized disks in between major libraries. and it makes it visually easier for me to see when I'm going from one. So Dice Pack, Battlestar, okay. And here we go into volume 707, PhD 5201. That's the one we're actually looking at. Look at what's free and look at what's used. It used 757 sectors, not 360. So 757 is more than double side, or single density. Because it's what, 360, 720, 1440. And then 708, the far right column used is 1217 sectors. So you can see all these with the menus, they got a lot of space. So where was math?
And I'm sure the original, single lesson on a single disc was probably thought of being the simplest solution for a young learner to kind of be able to deal with. It's clearly labeled, it's a single disc, you put the cartridge in, you put the disc in and run it.
So I'm looking for, if we want to get into high school sciences, grades 9 through 12, we got physics, chemistry, earth science, and biology. So I'm looking for PhD 5290. And what I have to do is I got this notebook that's a cross-reference, or this, that, okay, so what's 5290? Is volume 810. So now we can quit this, go to basic. I'll unmount drive 1. Oh crap, what did I say that was, 890?
I don't remember.
It was 4 digits, I think, wasn't it?
Was someone else in chat paying attention?
Is that your doing, chewing gum? Let's do a directory on it. Okay, and as usual, file 0. Huh. I must have made a booper somewhere. Well, one advantage, you could just hold function and function and X down, and it'll. As I haven't completely filled out my loose leaf binder here of where every disk is. Yeah, see anything labeled lesson disk, that's an original Plato, one lesson on one disk. 360 sectors used. I'll write this down this time. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I won't get fooled again. I mean, this program's great, for going through it if you don't have, any external records or something like that. What's our time?
It is currently just after 3.
Okay, so we have possibly until 4.
Right. I'll check with the librarian maybe around 3:30ish and see if there's anyone scheduled behind us. If there is, then we'll just, make sure that we
Oh,
wrap up with
So-
enough time to pack
so
up.
for physics, I want PhD 5290. We might want to announce that we're on recess for the summer. There might be a
yes.
club picnic coming up, and the fair's in October.
Yes, because normally we hold meetings, what, is that September through June? So we end up taking a few months for the summer months, and July, we often will have a picnic gathering for those of us in the Chicago area. If you're interested, you should probably give Hal, send Hal an email message. He can give you the particulars. His information is on the current website, which is chicagotiug.sdf.org until that changes. And I'm sure if you look at meeting or fair information, you'll be able to find his email address.
Yeah, I'm powerful tired of this not having a actual website.
Well, I mean, we do have a website, but we no longer have a functioning personal domain at this point until we can get that corrected.
Okay, I'm putting in the official Plato cartridge. And hopefully I got the Physics 1 cartridge in there, or disc.
Carrie is asking, with virtual disks, you can't make disks with 255 tracks and 255 sectors per track. I think that is sort of what the compact flash, the CF7 and the NOPEB
Yeah, the
is. They have like an
compact
extended track format. I'm not sure about sectors, but in theory, I guess, the implementation does potentially permit it, whether or not.
It's all electronic, so it's not like you're trying to actually physically spin a disc around and have the head
Right,
hit
well, I
the
mean,
right
technically
spot.
speaking, the TI file system is a logical file system, so it's, essentially computing linear blocks.
Yeah, James, if you can show this, this is what I resort to, is a loose leaf binder on what volume I have and what the disk name is that will show up on a disk catalog, and what it actually is. So here's the section for Plato. This is the original Plato single package per floppy. We've got the menu set up here. So just knowing what I have is an effort. But it gets to the point where you do so much fooling around and grooming and setting stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
You just like to use the machine. It's like when I was in hot rodding. Oh, you got the tires and the wheels and the exhaust and the carb. You do this and you just like to get in the car and drive it once in a while. Not spend all the time working on it. All right, so since this is a combo disc, it's got option 3, select menu tool 4. It doesn't say select next disc. Measurement in Physics 2, measurement in Physics drill, additional studies, and option 4. Atomic and molecular theory. Ooh, that sounds exciting. How to make an atomic bomb. Kids, don't do this at home. We're what they call professionals. There's an enter, continues, back. A, atoms, molecules, and elements, practice. Property of matter, density, temperature, 3 states of matter. Yeah, I know there's plasma, but this is Earth at room temperature and 1 atmospheric pressure at 1 G. We're not going to get into exotic. Let's take some matter and examine it. Here's a glass of guard. I think I'll go in, is it half full or half empty? Yeah, so people thought, what kind of graphics could you do for physics and chemistry and such on the TI? And I think they did a fine job. They get the point across. Okay, that might be a little small for the folks at home to see, but the one atom on the left has got an H in the middle, as well as the one in the middle. Plus the one on the far right has got an O with a dot in the middle. Yeah, I know they sort of don't believe this anymore, but
It's an easy to visualize construct.
it still
Just
works
why-
the same.
Right.
Whether it's a cloud or probability field or there's an actual electron spinning around. Okay. All right, so unless somebody else has got a favorite Plato.
What lesson would you like us to teach you today, viewers?
Here, just go through the abbreviated one. Is there any, prose poetry? I don't think they got Wuthering Heights or Sense and Sensibility in here, but.
How about word confusion?
Okay.
Sounds interesting.
Okay, so we'll quit this, take the Plato cartridge out.
Under basic skills and grammar. Well, enough.
The PhD number is what we.
Okay, got it. PhD 5259.
Eventually, I'll get this notebook filled out with the correct numbers on it. Again, we gotta. All right, paint's drying. You can get up and make yourself a sandwich. While you're at it, can I have a ham on rye?
What's it doing? It's doing a scan, a file name scan through the volumes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've got most of these written down, except for like this on the original Plato, the single site, single density, use 360. They're all ever named is lesson disks.
Yeah.
I have to manually get in there
Right.
and rename these disks, which I can do from the CF manager. I can get onto each disk and rename it.
Rename the volume name to something sensible for you to be able to actually scan through and find things.
But it's just, there's so many of these, I have not gone through on my loose leaf binder and labeled every single one. Okay, so we're looking for PhD 5259. Bingo, we're at volume 779. Okay. Just for fun, we can go through catalog 779. And this is something you will never get on a regular Plato disk. You only get $$1, which is a dummy file they put in sector 3 that Plato doesn't need to look at or anything, because the actual directory is at the end of the disk on sector 359. But since this is a double-sided double density disk, they use sector 3, so a regular disk manager can look at it and see what the heck is on here. So we will call unmount from drive 1.
Was that intended to be a copy deterrent or a deterrent for kids from modifying the desks, or both?
Yeah, you know, they'll push a button. The one at 779, say goodbye, remove, extended basic, put in the Play-Doh cartridge. Summer I got a super card at home, I couldn't find it. 'Cause then I could show you how to run Play-Doh off a super card using the five file EA files. Okay, word confusion. Okay, we'll get in the hot seat. It's yours.
Okay. So this is word confusion, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, we just saw with the,
Okay, let's see. What are negative words? Or what are negative words? Okay, let's take a look. What are negative words? Please type your name and press enter. In this lesson, you should learn how to use negative words correctly in a sentence. Before you begin, do you want to review the meanings of the words contraction and clause? No. You use negative words every day to tell people no. When you disagree with someone or if you refuse, then you use negative words. Example, Jen asked Tony to marry her, but he said no. Tony told her, "You're not the one for me." Jen replied, "I never want to see you again." A negative word is a word we use to tell people blank. Type an answer. We'll try no. Excellent. Please press enter to continue. Use only one negative word in a clause. I never eat meat. I never use two negative words in the same clause. I never eat no meat.
yeah, right.
Yeah, well,
That's the only statement where two positives make a negative.
negative words, no. Negative words are words that mean no. Use only one in a clause. Which words mean no? A, never, B, always. Let's try A. Negative words. Which words mean no? A, never, B, always, C, not, B, surely.
We did the,
I think it's giving us a second
we
round.
did A and B already, I
So
think you
it's
would
like a
answer
second-
either C or
Oh,
D.
got it,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
somewhat vague.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of fun. Which sentence uses, we could go on with this if you want, if you want to try something else, you want to keep doing this?
No, no, if you're happy with it.
Okay.
You can always go back and try a different, but you saw what a rigmarole it is.
Yeah, so we may as well
Yeah.
play through it and
Sure, sure.
then pick another.
We could try, I'm not going to do no dishes, I'm not going to do the dishes. Okay? He's not going to fix none of the cars, he's not going to fix any of the cars. Nobody has a better price, no, not nobody has a better price. This bank never lends anybody money, this bank never lends anybody. Never sign a contract before reading it, never sign a book. So far you have learned, one, negative words are words that mean no, and two, use only one negative word in a clause, never use two. Would you like to review? No. Negative words, contractions, sometimes we can try something else anytime you guys like.
Okay. Yeah, what page was that one on? Negative words. It was,
Well,
what?
I think it was on the first.
First sheet.
Yeah.
What is PhD? I got it written down there on that. I got volume, next is a 4-digit PhD, was it like 50?
Was it volume 779?
Yeah, the number right after that.
5259.
Oh, 525. Word confusion, okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're really not going to run through even one lesson disc on Plato and then show how it, at the end of the lesson, it says go to the next disc. So we ran through that on the size of the discs and this, careful there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian Nicola is the luckiest guy in the world, or TIer at least, to where he was going like, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to learn this and sector editing and all sorts of other stuff. And as it turns out, he didn't. Somebody else did, and we were just going to reinvent the wheel. I'm gonna close this down. Yeah, Plato was on here, but that's not Plato. There are other different programs like Plato, like D, E, F, and H would be the Plato programs made out of multiple sectors, but they're not gonna run out of final ground. Made out of multiple files, but like plant genetics is a standalone cartridge. So, yeah, well, I think we ran through this before, a couple of years ago. Oh. Let's get back to RxB. What's everybody's favorite sector editor?
I don't know that I have a favorite sector editor. I have not quite gotten that far into using the
here's
TI at the
DiskU.
sector level. Usually if I need a sector editor, I'm doing it at a higher level under Linux,
If you
using like the ncurses hex edit program.
recognize his name at the top of the screen, John Birdwell. He died a untimely death a long time ago, right after he had written this program. The John Birdwell Society determines a recipient of the John Birdwell Award that's given away every year at the fair of somebody who's done the best, done the most for the benefit of the TI community. So, okay, we'll go to this. File utilities, file operations, drive 1. Okay, so just did a catalog electronically of drive 1. Now, if you look at the bottom, you can select all of them. You can copy, delete, edit, move, protect, rename, unprotect, view. So we can go down, press V. I'll put the screener printer screen. Okay, well, that's no big surprise, because that's not really something you can read. So we're gonna go back and go back to Disk Manager and validate disk, just sees if the disk is a good disk or not. Rename the disk, reset it, initialize. No, we don't want to do that. Disk utilities, disk report, compare disks. You got 2 drives and a copy of disk, you might want to compare them, or you got 2 disks of the same name. Are these the same disk or not? So rather than cataloging them. And here's the meat of the program, section 4. Edit sector. So we can edit, print, copy, mark free. Drive 1. Okay, here's the first sector, sector 0 in drive 1. That's a little hard to read, but if you press Control and A, it translates it from hexadecimal to ASCII. So here we are back in Control H, and then Control A. So PhD 5259, right, that's word confusion. Now if you press Control N, it'll take you to sector 1, and then here we go, sector 2, $$1. This is that dummy sector. This is where you would usually have the table of contents for the disk. But here's disk menu. Now if you go to Control H, gosh, I haven't done this for a while. Control A, Control H. You get stuff further on down there, like your 1, 2, 5, 6. Your 7th column, 0204. Your 8th column, 000B. Your first column, second row, 0040. And this is all the numerical code that tells the computer where on this disk the file is located. And sometimes why use a whole sector for this? Well, sometimes you add files to a disk and you erase some, and you might leave a hole in the middle of the disk. Now you go to write in a file that's bigger than that hole, so you wind up with what's called a fractured file. The controller writes as much of that file to that hole in the disk, and then it starts going further towards the end of the disk where it finds the next opening. Well, if you have a heavily edited disk, you could have a file fractured into 10 parts, and this keeps track of where the beginning and end of each file is. So let's go up in GB34. Oh, these are the actual data. Let's go to hex. And let's step back out of here. And that was it, pretty much. Where in Plato, that's at the end of the disk. And option 7 there at the bottom, load FW, that's for Funnel Web. And Funnel Web was a very comprehensive menu program that ran programs like TI Writer, wrote the Funnel Web disk review, disk manager. You could put in all your utility stuff you wanted on that. Do not put that. And the last thing, Funnel Web was also, if you had 3 disk drives, they called it the poor man's hard drive. Is boot. This is a copy of boot that I bought a long time ago from the Miami users group. Now this looks a little strange. What this is a menuing program. And you can edit this program for what you want it to do. Let's say you press 1 for show directory. What directory do you want to read? Let's say we want to do a directory of disk 1. Okay. Now you've got similar commands there at the bottom of the screen to disk U. You can run in extended basic, you can just run editor assembler, you can view a file, you can delete it, and you can press the enter key. But I'm going to go back. We haven't picked the file. Do I have anything on 2? Yeah, I do. I got Max RLE doc. So we can press V to view that and press enter. And now we're reading a text file. So I love boot because so many times you get a read me first or something like that. And I'd say, what, I gotta load up TI Writer just to read a text file? And I think John Banky wrote a text file reader that Ken Gilliland puts on every one of his disks. 'Cause
Yeah,
he
you
puts-
figure text file reader and a disk catalog,
Mhm.
you know, as your first program would probably be the killer utility.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is just a text file reader here. You can't really edit it or do anything there. But, yeah, that was two. Display a file that you've selected.
Of course, some people were very miserly about what they put on their disks.
Uh-huh. Three, you can run a program if it's an EA program. Now, down here, you see other stuff. Compact Flash Manager, we've used that. DM1000, a disk manager. DiskQ, we just used it. 7, Identifile, which is great for telling, does this run in BASIC? Does this run in Extended BASIC? Is this a TI Writer file? You know, what the heck is it? DM2K is a comprehensive disk manager that I haven't learned how to use. And Archiver.
I'm gonna go check to see if anyone's registered behind us.
Okay. Back in the days when we only had single-sided, single-density disks, archiving programs to compress them or to send them over a phone, telecommunications, was important to keep your dial-up time down. So you want to compress the file and then expand it at the other end. C will select whatever cartridge we've got plugged in. Right now we have RXP plugged in. Now by pressing a space bar, we go to the second screen of this menu. Space bar again goes to the third screen. There's nothing there. If you press function 5, this happens. You can now edit the name of the program that shows up on the display and where it's at. So there it says CF Manager, and then that's on disk 3, and its name is CF Manager. Disk Manager 1000, DM1000 is on disk 3, its name is MGR1. And so that's easy, and you would press like back to get out of here. But yeah, so on here, you press function 5, if you had your program, sorry. James is back.
Oh, got it.
We might have to start closing it down.
Currently no one behind us, so we can go for quite a minute, probably another 15, 20 minutes before we need to worry about packing up.
So if you knew your program was here, let's do direct ran disk 2. And what did they have? DSK MAST1. Okay. Back, save it to disk 3. No, we don't want to put it in RAM 6. Okay, so now here's our menu, our boot, and there's Disk Master. And it just loaded it. Now that's not an extended basic program, that's an editor assembler. And Disk Master, I think you could really mess up a disk grip with this. File commands, disk commands, to change this screen text colors, to copy all the files, protect them, unprotect them. Here's what's valuable. To restore a deleted file. if you accidentally delete something, you go like, oh, nuts, that's not what I wanted to do. Well, if you remember the file name, it's a lot easier than sector editing sector number 3 to try to put it back there again. Remember, you delete a file, it doesn't. All it does is delete that pointer on sector 3 that says where that file, where the table of contents of that file
Mhm.
is. So a lot of people, and then it marks that space for as available. So if you don't write anything back to the disk, you've still got that file sitting there. Okay, so here's disk master running. Quit function equal. Oh. Sorry. Oh, here we go. Terminal emulator. Okay, now we can quit. And go to TI Basic. The terminal emulator is still in the cartridge slot. Okay, so here's a simple program you could type in from Basic. And just type in any phrase you want. Careful, this is a family show.
So this is gonna be speaking now.
Yes, it'll say whatever you type in.
Okay. I can do more than one word on a line?
Yes, there are different punctuation things, spaces, periods, commas, different things will, the caret symbol will change where the stress is in a
Okay, and
word.
this is gonna be a bigger vocabulary than what the however many 373, 500 words.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, okay.
This will phonetically say anything you type in. So with American English, a lot of time you have to misspell
So
words.
it does it phonetically,
Yeah.
okay. So how,
Oh. I didn't really hear anything there. Which one's the? This does off. Where's the volume control on this one?
You know, people are gonna yell and holler, you've realigned the monitor.
Okay. Oh, it might help if we had a speech synthesizer on the right
Oh.
side of this TI.
Oh, well.
Don't.
Do we actually have one here?
Yeah. Funny we didn't get an error. I usually have it on. Okay.
But I can understand, you know, if you don't need it, you don't want it necessarily hanging off the sideboard.
Well, sometimes this compact flash is a little cranky,
Yeah,
and plugging it into the console, it almost always works. And plugging it into the speech synthesizer,
maybe
it
it works.
usually works.
Okay, let's try that again.
Okay, and this is a usually works. There we go. So where were we? I for tools. Third page, D. Quit. Select TI basic. There you go.
Okay.
Now, this time for sure. Nothing up my sleeve.
Let's do.
Okay.
We pop up the vinyl. I don't know, what's the third one down first, second, third?
Up one.
Oh,
There you go.
okay.
That's pretty good.
All right, now, there's frequency controls and how much breath the machine it has. And it goes under the names pitch and slope. So pitch is the original starting frequency. And slope is, you start out with a full lung of air, but then you run out. So it changes frequency, and I don't remember the commands for doing that. And if you got that TI terminal emulator handbook, it goes into that. Or if you got the speech synthesizer book, we got the green book and the blue book. Well, go ahead, type in words.
Oh, okay.
That's like fine tuning it.
Uh,
We don't have to get into how to change a clutch on a Ferrari. We're just,
This is a lovely day for a walk on the beach.
yeah, I could see how you could kind of fine tune that for,
Mhm.
for NetX.
yeah, because you can put call sound. Speech is not in here. On the quick users guide. You need either the,
So can you go into a little more detail on what exactly the terminal emulator is? I'm just not too familiar with exactly what that is.
it was for primarily for transferring files over the phone.
So it's like a
It
modem
is.
interface kind of thing. Yeah, that's what I originally
Yeah.
thought. I don't see how it gets related to the speech synthesizer.
It was sort of the lowest hanging fruit to get data, free-form data into the speech synthesizer, I
Oh.
guess, that I guess there were some additional commands to redirect output to the speech synthesizer. And it may just do it by default, I don't recall offhand.
So it's sort of like a hack almost?
Almost, but
Okay.
I suspect they had kind of intended that.
Okay.
In the design of the speech synthesizer so that it could be integrated into most things without a whole lot of additional programming,
Okay.
as long as you directed output to the right place.
So yeah, that's just the extent of the program then.
Yeah, they got the default words built into the speech synthesizer.
Right, and isn't there the capacity, there's expansion on it, so you can in theory insert another dictionary of words into
Yeah.
it. I don't know, was that a common thing? Were there other dictionary modules available for it, or was it only ever the,
I think the
Standard.
early speech synthesizers, that little door you open up had a cartridge slot for miniature add-on specialty words.
Mhm.
So if you had things for mathematics or engineering or stuff like
right?
that.
Do you recall if anyone ever actually made add-on carts?
One might exist, I mean, it's like, nobody ever used it because you could always do this. TI had the speak and spell program on the TI. That's sort of like what we're doing now. But it was an educational package, it wasn't just like type in anything and it'll say it. Yeah, you see, this is like only 4 lines. But I can't find the references in any of the books. The TI terminal emulator cartridge, man, you can stay there, play around with it. Terminal emulator cartridge. Owner's manual, operating manual, really went into all the pitch and slope and accent and how to put stress on a word, how to
Okay.
put stress on the second syllable of a word.
Okay, I'll look into that, because, yeah, when I briefly glanced at the terminal emulator stuff, I thought that the extent of that really was just gonna be like, get a modem.
Right, and that's primarily what it is, it's just it was sort of an easy way to access it. But I think most of the service routines are actually in the cartridge and console itself, right? Either in the sidecar,
Yeah.
or in the console, I don't remember
Mhm.
specifically. Because it had.
Well, this has I think they call it an allophone.
Mhm.
And TI modeled a human's airways and such. You've got the nose, you got the sinus passages, you got the back of the throat, you got the larynx, you got the lungs, you got the tongue, and your mouth, A-E-I-O-U, the different shapes. And they analyzed all of these, I think there's 7 of them. And they put a numerical value on the position of every one of them. So if you look at allophone code, you can see, this is rather abstruse because I think it's like for assembly language or something. You can construct sounds out of basic numerical code that TI uses. This is much easier. A lot of times, changing the pitch and the slope. I got Curly Joe, the Three Stooges, I got a real good, no, Larry Cheese, out of it. And another one going the other end, it sounded like Paul Bunyan. And the cartoon I saw as a kid was Dennis the Menace. He came home, he said, I learned a new word at school today, Mom. And she says, what is it? And his mouth is all garbled up. And it was the alphabet. And I'll go ahead and type in the alphabet, pronounced as one word. And so I waited decades until I got this. And I went, hey, I know what I can do with this.
And this is all this kind of stuff is built into like the
Yeah.
terminal emulator 2 cartridge. the command
Yeah,
line.
yeah, the cartridge.
Applicant could not correspond with it.
Now, it does have pronunciation rules on, vowel consonant and stuff like that. Like if you type in hello, type in hell and then O.
Hello.
You might get a more natural
Yeah,
pronunciation.
that was a common thing to do for speech synthesizer.
If you look at like the Tiger Cub catalog has a whole bunch of educational stuff for kids. And I'll show the word on the screen, and then it shows the data file the TI looks up.
Yeah,
And say
it's-
the word, and it's a different spelling.
Well, because there's so many rules for, different pronunciations of like a single vowels,
Mhm.
I mean, that's huge. I mean, there's gotta be so much in the terminal emulator 2, whatever. I mean, just there's so many phonetical rules and all that. I mean,
Well, most of that's implemented in
yeah.
hardware, and it's not that there's tons of phonetical rules, it's just that if you want to construct a more natural sounding speech, you usually have to break it up into simpler groups of sounds
Yeah.
to get it.
So this is using the terminal emulator. In Extended Basic without the terminal emulator, there's a disk package where you load this big disk file in. It's like the Speak and Spell program. And that lets Extended Basic do what we're doing with the terminal emulator. One advantage of that, again on the TigerCom library, is fun disks called the Singing TI by Trio Plus Software. And that has like the Beatles, Octopus's Garden,
You had some
Carly
of that
Simon's
going in back in April.
You're So Vain,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's got different songs like that.
Let me break in for a moment. We're at about 3:51 right now, so even though we
Wow.
don't have anyone behind us, we should still probably be a good
It would be
neighbor
prudent.
and start thinking about final things we want to show off, final things we wish to say, and consider shutting down and packing up in the next
Yeah, I
couple
think
of
so, I
minutes.
think you're right. Yeah, so there's the Singing TI, and other people have done stuff like that. Maybe we'll run one of the educational things.
Good stuff.
Let me turn this down so we don't blast our neighbors.
And I guess while you're doing your remaining things, I guess I will remind people that I believe the fair is scheduled for Saturday, October 14th, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, October 14th, here at the Evanston Public Library, main library. I think there has been a change in the sense that we are not having it in the main community room on the first floor this year because the library is doing some special event for its anniversary, but instead I think we have the meeting room here, not this meeting room, but a larger meeting room here on the third floor. I think it's called the Falcon Room, if I remember correctly. But I'm sure we will post more details about that as the event gets closer. But we'd love to see people. And hopefully we will see some familiar faces as well as perhaps some new ones.
So, well, with that announcement, if we can sign off. Yeah, it was easier to draw a 48-star flag with asterisks than to draw a true 50-star flag. And this has chafed at me. And I've sworn for years that one of these days I'm gonna,
Redo it so you can have a proper 50-star flag.
well, there actually are,
Yeah, but one that integrates with your existing
there's a
control and
website
output
like,
screens.
what would an American flag look like with X amount of stars? And it's amazing, there's only some, like
Right, so
79
you
and
get weird
or
symmetry
97 or
then,
something
right?
like that you can't get. Because people have always thought about, well, what about Puerto Rico?
Yeah, what if our protectorates and holdings
Yeah,
become?
so they went with
granted
51, 52,
statehood.
53. So here's a better looking program, Stars and Stripes, but it's not the correct sign-off song. Oh. This place is Stars and Stripes by, if it will.
And then I will also remind people that if you are in the Chicagoland area and do want to attend the picnic, do reach out to Hal Shanafield for details on that. I think his email address is hals, Hals, 12 at hotmail.com. And he'll give you the details when he figures it out. 'Cause sometimes it's on the first Saturday of July, but sometimes not. It depends on, well, I think that weekend is the weekend leading into the July 4th holiday. So my guess is we
Yeah.
probably won't do it then, but who knows?
Well, that's why a lot of times we bump our meeting to the second or the third week.
Yeah.
And the fair is held, let's see, it's always
Yeah, we have at the
a
will.
fight because Northwestern has their games, and when it's game day, you can't get a hotel room.
Can't get a hotel room. Probably it's a traffic parking nightmare as
Yeah.
well. So, I guess with that, have a enjoyable rest of the weekend, and this has been the Chicago TI Users Group meeting for June 3rd, 2023.
I'll get our logo back up.
Okay.
Yeah, for a long time, we had handwritten signs, and I was thinking of getting one of those clapper things like they use in the movie industry. I guess I never changed it. Oh, well, it's not a TI meeting.
Right, unless someone, well, I mean, that's usually my problem too, that, when the time changes or the year changes, the first couple of broadcast announcements to Atari Age and various other communication channels, I will get the year wrong.
I hope I didn't bore people too much, but we had a lot of ground to cover with the Play-Doh and with the other files.
Okay,
Working on
take
that.
care, everyone.